Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the OT Radio Show, where everything is lit and everything is live. Hey, today we got a OT Radio Show where everything is lit, and everything is live. Very good show for y'all today. Oh, uh-oh. Yeah, we got a very good show for y'all today. Today, we are being joined by national TV star. Not only that, Dr. Keisha Downey, a licensed clinical therapist, a licensed marriage family therapist known for her work for yes, her dedication work here, helping individuals and couples and families navigate challenges such as anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, relationship issues, and personal growth. Tonight, we will be discussing mental health, relationships, overcoming life challenges, and importance of seeking medical and support when it's most needed. So today we are here with you.
Yes,
What's
yes,
going
yes.
on with you?
Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, 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 yes. So so when we talk right now, right, because I know that this is mental health month for men.
Yes, I was just about to say that. I was just about
Yes,
to say that.
indeed. So I am glad that you are here. So let's get started.
Okay.
Doctor, for those who just meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to dedicate your life to helping others.
All right. Well, I was born and raised in the northern part of Chicago. The city is called North Chicago, so I represent very well. I think I do. But actually, I did not know that I was going to end up being a psychologist, therapist. That was not my path initially. But people started to take to me later on in life. And so I'm like, you know what? Why not look further into this, career? And some years later, I worked towards my master's and then went further on and got my doctorate. And here I am, and I have just been blessed to be in positions and have been given opportunities to work with just a whole different, realm of individuals, which has definitely opened up my expertise and it allows me to help all kinds of people. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this question because it's mental health month for men.
Yeah.
And when we talk about mental health and wellness, what are some of the biggest mental health challenges people are facing today?
Some of the biggest mental health challenges that we all are facing today. What's going on in society? You know what I mean? Just the world, the politics of the world. In addition to
Hmm.
just being Black, if I just want to put it out there, Black and brown individuals.
Hmm.
Also, trauma, we deal with a lot of trauma, unresolved trauma, right?
Hmm.
Anxiety, depression. People are struggling within their relationships. People are struggling raising their kids. I mean, there's so many different mental health challenges that are occurring in society today. And so that's why getting the mental health care that you need is super important at this point in time.
So why do you believe that mental health awareness, right, is more important now than ever before?
Well, I feel like it's more important now just because of the state of the world, and also because so many of us have done a good job of compartmentalizing or just holding in the pain. And so it puts us in positions where we're not able to navigate um, different spaces, if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
so it's important for us to make sure that we cater to our mental health so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. So I do my best to try to educate people as best as I can and also provide those resources, make them readily available for people to seek out services, when they are ready.
Hmm. So when we talk about, mental health, why do you believe that, mental health awareness is actually like needed, especially in the Black and Brown community, because it's a stigma out there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just think about everything we've been through.
Yeah.
Think about everything that we continue to go through and what we witness and how we're treated. Um, One thing that I am proud of, that I have noticed just working in the field, a lot of our younger generation, they are the ones that are breaking the stigma because they are out getting therapy when back in the day, parents, this was just not something that you did. It was frowned upon, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we are taking care of our mental health as best as we can. So yeah.
Yep. Shout out to our younger generations, because
Yeah.
I mean, they put a stronghold on it. They
Yeah.
put a stronghold on that big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
They are quick. You'd be surprised with like the people that I see, like a bulk of them are in their 20s and in their
mhm,
early 30s, and they want to work on themselves and they're not afraid to um ask for help. And
mhm.
it's people of color, which is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be a part of this, journey for a lot of them, just to be able to help and guide as best as I can. So,
Well, because like we talked about, it was definitely frowned upon,
yeah.
back in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Um, when we talk about breaking the stigma of therapy, like many people are still like hesitant to seek therapy.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who believe therapy isn't for them?
That's a tricky question. I feel like it really depends on the person before you. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is you will get a lot of people who are still closed off to therapy.
Hmm.
So it's really up to that actual clinician, the rapport building and making that person feel comfortable. So I have like a saying that if I can get someone in front of me or on the
Hmm.
phone with me, they're going to be more prone to doing the therapy with me because again, I make them feel comfortable. It's a non-judgmental space to open up. And it's just the way that we kind of manage or navigate the space, right? But again,
Hmm.
there are people who still frown upon it, and there's not a lot you can do with that
Hmm.
because the first step to getting treatment is you have to not, there's no, you're not in denial, right? You have
Right. Right.
to know that there's an issue before you, and then you seek out the help. So yeah, it's hard if someone is not there, but it's easier if someone is there, and then it's up to us as a clinician to make it more comfortable for the person to continue on. So
And you know what? That goes to my next question, right? Because when we talk about therapy and stuff like that, it's always a misconception about it, right?
yes, yes.
Can you clear up some of the misconceptions about therapy, please? For real.
Well, one of them is that you're not laying on a couch and just sitting there, and the person's on the other end with some paper and just taking there. um, and yeah, it's the misconception I feel is people will say, "How can you tell me about myself? How can you tell me anything and you don't know me?"
Mm,
You know what I mean? And so you get that a lot. Like, I'm not going to therapy. They don't know anything about me or my story or what have you. But once again, when you get into the actual therapy session, and it's up to that clinician to, go over the steps of therapy and helping them understand how therapy works. Again, a lot of this has to do with the lack of education on what mental health services or what therapy is.
mm,
If we take the time out to explain it, so if
mhm,
I went to a seminar and I took the time to explain the steps of therapy, how
mhm,
confidential that it is,
mhm,
how we set it up, what we talk about, how it's goal oriented,
mhm.
what our skill sets are, what we cover, you would be surprised with how many people will be like, oh, okay, like it's not what I thought, or this person can help me with this. I can uncover like deep rooted pain and it's
Mhm.
confidential, you know, I think it will go a long way because again, a lot of people don't really know the dynamics of therapy. So
Right.
again, it goes back to education, educating, providing those. that information to individuals, and I think that would make the difference.
So I have to say this because I know a lot of times, we talk about therapy. People think that therapy is just for the people that are going through issues on themselves. But
Yeah.
I believe in healthy relationships. And there's a lot of people that really need healthy relationship therapy and on top of therapy for themselves. So I
Mm-hmm.
will always recommend get individual and get, you know, relationship therapy. What communication mistake do you see often with couples that they make most often?
Ooh, okay. So this is my specialty. So couples work is my specialty.
Yes, indeed.
Um, so what I find is individuals or couples do not take the time out to truly get to know their partners.
Mm-hmm.
As silly as this may sound, like we have to understand each other's needs. Needs are like those deal breakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we lead with the feelings. Ooh, this feels good, or ooh, this person gives me butterflies, or ooh, I like how they make me this or that, or what have you. So we sometimes ignore going into the deeper rooted things like what do I need to sustain a relationship? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is that people don't take the time out to get to know their partners. Then once we're in it, communication is key. And so oftentimes, or what I'm finding is people don't know the value, the importance of validation. Not
Mm.
agreeing. Validation does not mean agreeing. Validation means acknowledging that you are here and that you are present with what the person is saying to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you validate, it will go a long way. And the other thing is empathy. In order to get to a place of empathy or empathizing with your partner, you have to truly know your person. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
putting on the individual's lenses and seeing why they would think the way that they do. Without it, how can you truly connect with your partner? So again, what I've been seeing or what's common is communication, the lack of communicating, and couples just not knowing how to really communicate in a healthy way. Again, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship.
Right.
We aim for a healthy relationships, which involves communication, finding ways to soften and turn towards each other, and meeting each other's needs as best as we can.
Mm-hmm. So give me an example of validating your partner's feelings.
Okay. So if you come to me and say, I'm really upset with you, Keisha, because you, you crossed me off the other day. You didn't, I told you that I wasn't feeling well. You just kept talking over me. And, I just felt like you weren't even paying attention to what I was saying. Validation would mean, well, I'm really, really sorry that I made you feel that way. I hear you. I hate that I made you feel dismissed in that moment. I understand how you're feeling right now, and I'm going to work on doing better with that. That's being present. That is, I heard, you and what you're saying, what your grievances are towards me. And so, again, a lot of people will get defensive and they will, in turn, instead of them giving back what I did, they might say, well, that's not on me that you weren't feeling well, or what did I do, or why are you coming at me? And then
Mm-hmm.
my comment would put that person on the defense, and then it just turns into this negative loop. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah,
It makes a whole lot of sense.
yeah,
And I think it have to be too, if you can, you can agree or disagree, but being in that moment,
yeah,
right? Because a lot of time when you are in a space, you might can't receive that.
yeah, yeah. True. And I have this thing where I have my couples do a mood check.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that on a scale from 1 to 10, one being like you are in the worst mood ever, and then 10 is you're on cloud nine, like nothing can touch you, you're feeling really good. So, from an individual perspective, I'll just use you and I again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've had a long day at work. You're going to rate your mood while you're in the car driving home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might say, I'm at a 4. So you will shoot me a text. You say, you know what, Keisha, I'm at a 4. I already know what a 4 means. It means that you're not in the best space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to approach you or nag you or be on you as soon as you walk through the door. Actually, because I understand you, I understand your needs. 4 represents to me that I might just have you some tea kind of sitting to the side. I might just know, you know what, he needs about an hour to himself. I might just give you a hug and just kind of move out the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mood checks are really important because, one, it allows you to check in with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
2, allows you to let your partner know where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
so that we will know kind of how to navigate the space when we get around each other. So that
Mm.
really helps out a lot. It really do, because you're kind of covering 2 parts, yourself
Yeah.
and the partnership. So
Well, I like that. I
yeah,
like that. I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yo, I'm on a 10 because work is crazy right now.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. That's interesting because a lot of times when we talk about relationships, you know, it's two different backgrounds, right?
yeah.
Everybody comes from two different backgrounds.
Hmm.
And like you said, communication is a key. But that right there, wow, I think that'll go a long way. Hey, people,
Yeah.
y'all just got a first of a good sign of what to do. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's just there's a lot of little tips and tricks that I think that most people know about, but it's hard to implement. Like, as silly as this may sound, a
Mhm.
timeout, calling a timeout,
Mm.
like being able to say, you know what, before I go left or go there, let me back away from the situation. And oftentimes that will upset the other person or the other, partner. But somebody has to take the lead and stop things from escalating and going to a different space that we don't want to go to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So again, a timeout, but the key is calling a time in, because
Mm.
others will be like, no, I'm not letting you go. I'm not letting you walk away. But that's because they're afraid that the partner won't come back and talk to them again about the issue, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And then we don't let things go more than 24 hours, right? Because if
Mhm.
you allow issues to fester or go past 24 hours, it leaves room for other issues to arise. And now we got to tackle that issue, this issue, the next issue. So
Mhm.
it's just kind of fine tuning or creating rules that work for your relationship and
Mhm.
trying your best to double down or stick to those rules. There's nothing
Yeah.
cookie cutter, but the idea is what's going to be your system when conflict arises, because it will definitely arise. There's no
Yeah.
perfect relationship. Everybody has tense moments and conflict. The
Mhm.
idea is, or at least from my seat, is how you resolve it. That's the
Right.
most important thing. So,
So, because I like what you just said right there, and like I had said, people come from different backgrounds
yes.
and stuff like that. So, when we talk about people different backgrounds, a lot of people are dealing with like trauma. A lot of people are dealing with anxiety. Some people are even dealing with grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. How can like someone recognize when their partner or their family members are struggling with unresolved like issues, trauma?
Yeah. So sometimes people are not as aware, of what someone else may be going through.
Hmm.
Um, what I always like to recommend is just pay attention to things that may seem abnormal, right?
Hmm.
So if someone is isolating more, if someone seems a little withdrawn, if they're more moody, more snappy, more irritable, distant, crying often, we pay attention to those types of signs. And then, you just check in with the person, like, how are things going? What's up with you? And again, sometimes people are resistant. Sometimes
Hmm.
people don't even know that they're going through something. So it requires the person on the receiving end to just be patient with the process. However, when someone comes into therapy, we see it more readily, like quicker than someone outside who's not a professional. But
Right.
again, the idea is to just pay attention to the signs and symbols, or just how someone is behaving, looking for things that might just be different or out of the ordinary. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I agree. I
yeah,
agree. Now
yeah.
let's talk about you on TV. What? Listen, your resume is long. We didn't see you a couple of places, like Basketball Wives LA, Black Ink Chicago, BT, like what what was your biggest experience when you was on TV having these conversations with some of these reality TV stars? What's some of the things that you recognized someone was really going through?
You know, what I recognize is that they're human. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of people, forget that.
Yeah.
They forget, just because someone is a celebrity doesn't mean they don't go through some of the same things that we go through.
Hmm.
And so when I sit before a lot of the people that I've worked with, I mean, they're human, they're delicate, and they just want to feel okay, just like the
Hmm.
next person, right?
Hmm.
And my thought process is just trying to do the best that I can to help them navigate that realm, right? Because as you
Hmm.
know, in the entertainment realm, or even if you're an athlete, it's hard. There's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure that's placed on celebrities and athletes and things of that nature. And so, individuals in that realm. And so I just sit with them and try to provide the best care that I can. But again, to answer your question, they're human. They want to feel and be okay, just like the next person.
How did being on television help change like the conversations around mental health
For me, or just in
in
general,
general? In general.
you know, uh, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question directly, but I feel like the more people that we see on TV, the more celebrities, the more athletes that we see on television or podcasts or what have you that are actually talking about their mental health and how they're
Hmm.
seeking or getting help is a
Hmm.
win for
Yes.
society.
Yep. Hmm.
Because if I look up to Jay-Z or Beyonce or Michelle Obama and they tell me that they've gone to therapy and I never thought about therapy before, I
Hmm.
might reconsider because
Right.
I idolize them. So if they can do it, I can do it,
Right.
right? So that's changed, I think, a lot of how we view mental health because people are making it they're making it positive. It's a
Yes.
positive thing to seek out therapy services. It is not as frowned upon, especially, and I talk a lot about this with our Black men.
Hmm.
They are in therapy, they are working on themselves, they are dealing with their traumas, they're learning how to be soft and vulnerable. Mind you, the person who they are with or around needs to be able to provide that soft or that non-judgmental space for them to be vulnerable, of course, but they're learning so much about themselves. And so I love it. I love it. I love it. So
Yes. 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 You know, just like I always, talk about, June is men's mental health,
yeah.
right? And when we talk about the men's mental health, sometimes that get shined upon because for us men, like, yo, dude, like, you really need therapy, like,
Yeah.
are you sure? And I'm glad that this awareness month is focused on us because it's needed. It's
Hmm.
needed. It's
Hmm.
needed. It's definitely needed.
It
But
definitely.
what, but I gotta ask this question, right? Because you know, being the man that I am and understanding now what therapy is, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's a lot of stuff to unpack.
Yes.
It's a lot of stuff to unpack, and a
Yes.
lot of people really don't know that they are in a depression mode.
Hmm. Hmm.
And for me, being in a depression at one time, I recognize it when it comes down to my friends now.
Yeah. Yep.
And because I didn't think nothing about it until I actually went to therapy, and they like, dude, like you depressed. I'm
Hmm.
like, I ain't depressed, you know what I mean? They like, no, you depressed, but you just walking around like like it's a normal day, but
Yep.
inside you are hurting.
Yep.
And I will always tell men to seek therapy
Hmm.
any kind of way,
Hmm.
because it's needed.
It
You
is.
know, why do you think that a lot of men don't want to unpack their trauma?
I feel like it's conditioned.
Hmm.
From an early age, men are taught to suck it up,
Hmm.
keep moving. There's no time to, deal with the emotions. So it's conditioned. OT,
Hmm.
it is literally, it's conditioned. So if you go through life being taught that's how to be, opening up would be a scary thing,
Yeah.
a really, really scary thing. And fear, just who wants to face that, those traumas?
Yeah.
Again, we've been taught to just push through. Nowadays, though, you know, men see the benefit of processing their traumas. Like they're better individuals. They can handle things a little bit better. They're, like I said, they're softer towards their partners, to other people. They're not holding on to those pains. And as you know, like when you stuff and you keep stuffing things down, it's like what's the saying? There's a ticking time bomb. It's
No.
eventually going to come out anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that it's just conditioned. I really do. I feel like it's conditioned, and I feel like there's some fear to have to really deal with that. That's
Yeah.
heavy, heavy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
The traumas that men have just endured, especially men of color. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So when we talk about, healing on a healing journey, right? And,
yeah,
on personal growth, I always hear this cliche all the time, right? Become the best version of yourself.
hmm
What do that means for you if you hear that?
So if someone were to say, "Become the best version of yourself," to me, or what comes to mind first is making sure that I've peeled back all the layers of myself and worked through every piece of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Every part of myself. Healing requires going through the pain, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will go around it. And it's kind of like what I was touching on with men, like they're conditioned to push forward, not really deal with their emotions. They got other things to do and they will go around things. And it's just not healthy to do. So healing requires sitting in those feelings, processing those feelings, witnessing those feelings, all of the things, and really just giving yourself an opportunity to create a narrative that now works for you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So for so long, the trauma sometimes has a hold on people, and
Hmm.
that's why they're stuck in certain, areas in their life. So
Hmm.
if we can work through the pain and we can work through the trauma and process it with tools, of course,
Hmm.
we can create a narrative or change it or reframe it in a way that so we can move forward in life.
Right.
Take control.
Yeah.
Creating a narrative is allowing you to take control over that trauma that occurred or happened to you in the past, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
So where should someone begin if they want to start their healing journey?
So, well, I mean, the first step is realizing that there is an issue. That's
Mm.
the first step, like
Hmm.
really taking self inventory, reflecting, what is going on within myself. You know, with so I have I have two practices,
Hmm.
and when individuals reach out, they'll reach out and they'll send me like a blurb, and they'll say a few things, and so I make it a point of everyone who reaches out to my practice, I will do a consultation with them.
Hmm.
And when I call them, the first question I ask is, have you ever been in therapy before? And what brings you here today? Like
Mm.
what made you make that call?
Hmm.
And they will explain it. They don't even know me, but I try in those 10 or 15 minutes that I'm talking to them, I try to give them like a safe space over the phone. And
Hmm.
so that they can really just give me an overarching, you know, example, or not example, sorry, an overarching explanation of why they are here today. And you'd
Hmm.
be surprised with what they say. I just been not feeling myself. I'm having relationship issues. I'm realizing that I have trauma that I have not dealt with and it's interfering with my relationships. I am like been blowing up on people at work. And so I just, something is off and I want to get help. Now is
Hmm.
the time. So when people are at that place, that is a beautiful thing because now the work can be done, meaning that
Yeah.
it's up to me to provide the space, set it up, make it real easy for them. I don't want to complicate things. I got an easy
Hmm.
process for them, and then we get into the therapy process and it just moves on from there. Again, explaining the steps.
Right.
Clarity is key.
Yeah.
Clarity is key. Like no confusion. This is what it is. This is confidentiality. This is when we're gonna meet. This is how long the sessions are.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't take nothing personal, like open up to like all of the things. And so it just works out. So again, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah.
Yeah. You're showing up there.
Yeah.
So I know, I know that a lot of times when our therapist is out there working, you know, our therapists need us, right?
Mhm.
And what are some of the things that you do to, unwind, yourself and something that, people probably wouldn't know that therapists do, you know?
Well, for me, for me, I've shared this before on some other interviews I've done, but I just sit in silence, OT. Like silence is golden, as cliche as that may sound, but I need to be in silence for at least 45 minutes.
Mm.
Time to just release and decompress
Hmm.
the day. You
Yeah.
know, if I sit and listen to all of the traumas and all of the things, I cannot just transition quickly into, Keisha mode or home mode or partner mode. I can't do any of that type of stuff. I have to take care of myself first. So for
Yeah.
me, it's sitting in silence. Self-care, I
Mhm.
indulge in self-care at least once a week, or at least I
Okay.
try to, and just do things that I want to do for myself.
Right.
And I get love from my family, as best
Hmm.
as I can, and just be around people that I know care about me. And I like to laugh and have fun and do things
Right.
like that. So yeah. So yeah.
So I gotta ask this question because I know a lot of therapists, right? Do you sometimes make a mistake and during a conversation your brain turn into a therapist? You be like, hold on, wait a minute. You shouldn't be doing this like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but you know what? The people that I'm around be like, stop. Don't do
right,
that.
right.
They'll check me like, don't do that. Don't do that. So but it that does happen. That does
Right.
happen. In my education, we were trained though to not do therapy on friends and family. And I'll get people who will reach out that I know and
Mhm.
they'll ask, and I try my best to stay away from that, or I'll just refer them to someone else.
Right.
But yes, to answer your question, that switch does come on sometimes, and I have to catch myself,
Mhm.
or my family and friends will check me and tell me quick, like, stop,
Be
stop,
like,
stop.
be
Yeah,
like, yo, we're not doing this today. Don't do this, right?
exactly. Your hours are off. Leave me alone. Yes.
So if you can leave our audience with one message about health, growth, and mental health awareness, what would it be?
If I could leave the audience, you
Hmm.
know, what comes to mind is just check in with yourself every single day. Like, the world is heavy. Everybody on this earth is going through something. I mean, and if you're not going through something, somebody that you know is going through something. So I just feel like checking in with yourself every day. Are you getting enough sleep? Are
Hmm.
you eating healthy? Are you socializing with people who love you? Or are you staying in a lot? Are you crying? Are you more emotional? Is your mood changing? Like, just check in with yourself. And if you find that something seems a little off, seek the appropriate help. Like, man, OT, insurance pays for therapy.
Mm.
Jobs have what's called employee assistance programs. They will
Hmm.
give you free therapy sessions, up to 8 sessions, and you can extend them out. Like, there is no reason why individuals cannot get mental health services now.
Yeah.
People who even are on Medicaid, public aid,
Hmm.
they can even get services. Like, there's no excuse, but it starts from self-awareness.
Yeah.
You have to know that there's something going on within you to actually be able to seek out the services that you need. So I would just say, just pay attention or stay in tune with yourself, and then do something about it. Don't
Yeah.
wait to the last minute. So
Yeah. So before you go, I gotta ask this question because your specialty is relationships. And one of my biggest questions I have to ask you, because we see this a lot, is
yes.
that no one can forgive no one. And then it goes into the next relationship.
Yeah.
Can we tell the folks just that's the reason for therapy, please?
That's the reason for therapy. And that is one of the things, like, what is unresolved? What do we need to unpack? Because you are right, OT. So many people will project that stuff onto the next person. We call it back in the day baggage,
Yeah.
carrying their baggage over into the next relationship. And a lot of us are guilty of doing that. And then it contributes to dysfunction or negative feedback loop in the relationship, which is what we don't want. However, if there's not anyone who is, I have my air quotes up, healthy in the relationship, that dynamic will continue on in the relationship where they're projecting on to each other. However, if there is someone that's healthy in a relationship, someone who's aware that this doesn't feel right or you're projecting on to me, you know what I mean? If that person is there, then, you can seek out services, you can call it out and do what's necessary to work through that. But that is common. And if you are before me or with me in couples therapy, we will go back in time and try to understand what happened in the past relationship that is still showing up in the current relationship and how do we remedy that? Or I think you said it earlier that couples also, we refer them to individual therapy and we work as a team, right? So if you're going to see your individual therapist and then seeing me in couples therapy, I might talk to your individual therapist and we just work together to make continuity of care, if that makes sense, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page so that the goals are ultimately met. But that is a thing. And that happens more often than what you think. I mean, because that's why people come to couples therapy often, because they're carrying past stuff in and the other person is paying for it, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you so much for joining us here on the show. We've been going back and forth, but we got you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So we appreciate you so much. But before you go, I need for you to tell people where to find you at on all social media, where to find you at as far as your business, because she is a licensed clinical therapist, y'all. So, she's just not, the doctor is the doctor for real.
Yeah,
So, doctor for real, licensed. I mean, that is conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation. But yes, I'm licensed in 2 states. How about that?
Let's talk about so go ahead and give people.
Let's talk about it. No, I can be found. My social media handles are Dr. Keisha Downey, so that's Dr. and then Keisha Downey, and then I do have a website which is drkeishadowney.com or downeytherapeuticservices.com. And so just connect with me. If I can assist you, I would definitely direct you in the right places. I'm just here to help. I want to provide enough information to the masses, to the communities, because mental health is super, super, super important right now. It's like our physical health is all connected. So
yes, indeed. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me.
But before you go, OT always got to do his saying. When someone asks you how you doing, you always tell them you better than yesterday.
Hey.
And always remember your purpose, your vision, and your mission matters. Yes. So, hey, y'all, we will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place, here on the OT Radio Show. Doc, stay on for a second.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.